thought it's about time on a day like today where there's so much going on in the world to just talk about saggy jowls, because it's a topic you've asked me so much about. And I just actually thought that's something that we should be talking about today. Now, I have got a wonderful guest coming on, and what I want to do is just we've got people coming on. I just want to check messages. I haven't got messages coming through yet. I think I'm just going to, can I make a comment? I can say hello. Yes, good evening from Melbourne. Hello, Matt. I'm sure lots of you have been up watching elections, etc., which I have been doing as well. And so I just think it's a nice time to step away from politics and just step into some nice, trivial, how can I lift my jaw? Of all the women I talk to when they talk about skincare, you know, they do say, what can lift my jaw? Now, I think it's really important, and I kind of wish brands would have it on their products, like, this will make your skin look nice, but it won't get rid of a wrinkle or lift your jaw, because we want to put all our faith that skincare will do everything on our skin. And the thing is, it's not the case. Anything with a prescription on it is going to do things that are long-term change in your skin. And I'm really happy that I live today and not 30 years ago when I started using skincare, where the levels of active ingredients were not so strong as they are today. So I think what we have today, which I've talked about a lot, is the opportunity that we can get products with quite active ingredients that with consistent use, we can help elements of our skin. But it doesn't mean that if your neck starts to go, that it will lift your neck. There's certain ingredients like retinols that will actually help to tighten the skin. They will help to resurface and renew skin. You know, acids will help, as we've discussed on this show many times. They will help resurface the skin, and retinols will help to sort of renew the skin, and your sort of turnover of healthy, lovely skin is increased. And you're not sitting with so much dead skin on your face, which makes you feel you look a bit dull and tired and going down the path of life a bit quicker. But skincare has to stop at one stage, because it won't actually do the bigger things. And the bigger things have to be done by at-home tools or by actual treatments. And we have discussed, and massage. I will actually bring in massage. Okay, I'm going to bring in 4 things. I'm going to say skincare does so much. Genetic bone structure does quite a lot. Like my mother had unbelievably high cheekbones. My mother didn't really, at 89, have much of a jowl, because she had these incredible cheekbones. And also she didn't have a huge amount of fat in her face. And what our next guest is going to talk to us about is she has had so much, well, I'll get on to her in a second, but, you know, we're going to understand why we get saggy jowls. And I've had this conversation a lot, and so has my next guest, and what we can do about it. But the interim, if you just want to sort of tighten and lift, are going to be those kind of tools, are going to be the new face, the Face Gym Pro, that kind of radio frequency waves, microcurrents. Radio frequency are the ones that heat up, microcurrents, and those will stimulate the muscle. But there are sort of 3 layers to skin of what makes it stay like that. And one of them is the muscle, one of them is the kind of fat, and one of them is the surface of the skin and the tautness of that skin. And they're all dealt with in slightly different ways. So I just want to say good morning to everyone. Good morning, Zoe. Good morning, Ryo. Good morning, Zoo. Good morning, Samantha. Last busy work day till lockdown. We're starting lockdown in the UK from tomorrow morning. So this is another big thing for us in the UK. Good day from Sydney. Now I'm just trying, I just want to try and scroll up and down, but I'm not scrolling. It's not happening. So as your comments come through, I will talk through. Casey is another thing that many women I know used for years. It's quite an old-fashioned frequency current, which sort of stimulates your muscle to kind of stay in a position. And massage, you know, I do that daily massage, and I do my AEIOU, and these things all help to kind of keep the muscle shorter, and that will in itself be lifting it a bit so that the jowl is not sagging so much. But over time, going down the path of life, our fat deposits go down and they create, in a way, jowls. So one of the best people I can get on, good morning, Sandra from Auckland. Good morning, Maria from Adelaide. Good morning, Ros from Portugal. Good morning, Ella from Kishna from Munich. Laura from Bristol. Carol Ann from Melbourne. Out of stage 4 lockdown. Hang on in there. You had a 7th month lockdown in Melbourne. I know in New Zealand there's been lockdown. So we're all around the world in this wave of in and out of lockdown and countries being up and down. You've kept doing your pledge and doing your AEIOU every morning. If you're just joining us for the first time, on Wednesdays, it's skincare Q&A, and we do at the end do a commitment, and we will at the end of the show do a commitment this week. And on Wednesdays, our commitment is around sort of skincare, and on Saturdays, it's around our mental health. Good morning, Lana from Jordan, from Sweden, and good morning, Mary. Good morning from Cairo. Karine, good morning from South Africa. Sana, good morning, UK. Katrina, good morning, Freedom at Last. You must be calling from Melbourne. By the way, did you see me on Sunrise on Australian television this morning? Because I heard I was on and I'd done this thing on de-stress, and I just want to know if you caught it in Australia. And how many of you watch Sunrise? Because I saw all this kind of activity from Australia last night. Barbados, Julia, good morning. Cornwall, good morning. Justine in Australia. Marianne from Mexico. Arnina from Vietnam. Tal from Tel Aviv. Can I just say how staggeringly fantastic it is that we can all talk to one another from all different places around the world and have these conversations. I love that. I love this part of my job. So I'm now going to tell you about my guest, because I have, over the years, as I've mentioned to you many times, done various treatments that are not skincare, because I felt over the years that it would be an interesting treatment to try, either for my audience, or I wanted to do it for my vanity matrix. Not vanity matrix, it's the wrong way to describe it. I want to do it for myself, because I want to look in the mirror and feel my best. So since I was 35, I've done Botox. And Botox doesn't stop a sagging jaw. Botox basically prevents lines from coming if you started doing it when you didn't have them. And when I started doing Botox, I didn't have lines, but I had quite a big forehead. I was a bit self-conscious. I just started television, and my forehead moved more than my mouth when I spoke. It literally had its own little top mouth language. So I heard about this wacky Frenchman called Dr. Seabag, and this friend of mine said he's really a rude Frenchman, but he can put this stuff in you and it's a poison, but it will stop your forehead moving. And I was like, okay, let's go and talk to him. I went along. This is the man who has all the products now. And he was like, well, you aren't. I mean, it was at the beginning. Jean-Louis Seabag is the funniest man in the world, and I love him dearly. But my God, he's a rude Frenchman when I first met him. And he was like, oh, okay. Didn't speak hardly any English. Anyway, he said he did it. Go away. My forehead stopped moving. My forehead still doesn't move much. But for me, when I then had the confidence and I went on TV and my forehead didn't move, it was just such a relief for me. Sometimes people do things not out of a pure vanity, but out of a kind of like, oh, I don't want to keep looking at that. But it's like the other big thing I did is I had very bad acne. I had acne for 13 years, cystic acne. And when I did Roaccutane for a year and a bit, afterwards, I am building up saggy jaw and Alice, but afterwards I did a CO2 laser all around my face here. And what it did is it burnt away. It sounds so aggressive here, but when you have very bad acne scars, you really can feel self-conscious, because it's like the spots have gone, but then there's these sort of craters. So the CO2 laser softens them, because imagine that's an acne scar and it goes in, and the ablative laser does this a few times and it just makes it more like that. Kind of the most simplest way of saying it. But the downtime was about 3 or 4 weeks. And I remember I was filming What Not to Wear at the time, or it was around that time. And after 3 weeks or 2 weeks at home, I said to Suzanne, let's go out. I put on Estee Lauder double wear. I thought I looked great. I walked out the door and Suzanne said, you look like a burns victim, because my skin was still so red. And it is interesting, the things we do. But I don't regret one moment doing that, because I really was uncomfortable with all my scars. So there are these other treatments, and I don't think any of us should judge anyone for what treatments we as individuals choose to do. I think that's a huge thing to discuss, because there's a lot of kind of name and shame. Like somebody the other day said to me, oh, I noticed on the Miracle Blur, Trinny, people say you've had Botox, so the Miracle Blurs, you know, they contradict each other, which is like, excuse me? No, I'd show you scar remnants. I'll put the Miracle Blur on. And it's just, people think that one kind of treatment can do many more things than it can. So Botox, if you already have lines, it won't remove them. It will soften them. And if you didn't have them to begin with and you had it for twitching or something, maybe they won't appear. If you have lasers, there are many forms of lasers. It is a very confusing world of all the treatments you can have that are more than skincare and tools you can do at home. And one of the people I know who's experienced more of those treatments than anyone else and has researched them more than anyone else is our guest today, Alice Hart-Davis. She's written 2 fantastic books. And one of the, I think this is a great book. She's just written a book now, Start with Skincare, and it's just the thing that I talk about every day. It's about skincare, and it's her view on skincare, which is very similar to mine. We love many of the same products, and what you really need to know about looking after your skin. That has just come out. But this book really is the subject of what we're talking about today, and it's called The Treatments Guide. And I refer to it a lot because the way that Alice has laid out, with her many, many years experience in journalism, asking the right questions and going through some of these procedures herself to understand what they do, and her scientific approach, I love. And it makes you feel the confidence to research, would you want to do something like this or not? And how do you go about it? Because I think a lot of people see some botched jobs and they think, oh, I'd never do that. And other people are sitting there silently thinking, I'd really kind of like to try it. This really bugs me and I actually want to do a bit more. And I know I shouldn't care, but I do care. It's okay to care. Nobody should judge anyone else for the extent by which they care about stuff. Okay, that's my thought on it. So I'm just going to look at 1, 2 questions, and then we'll get Alice in to have a chat. Good morning, Letter, good mornings. Alice Hart-Davis, 2 fantastic books. They are brilliant, James, aren't they? Ella, good morning. Kay, good morning. And I'm just going to call. I just wonder, because I can't go. I'm just wearing a old Chloe top. It's actually a shirt, all in one. Do we have Trinny London De-Stress in Australia now? I'll tell you what you've got, guys, is you can ship. We ship worldwide, and it gets to Australia in 3 to 5 days. And that's how everyone buys it, really. So please go online, do your match to me, and you can. The book, I will show the books many times through the show, but this is The Tweakman's Guide. There it is. Sorry, I'm going to put it in the middle. The Tweakman's Guide. I know it's probably back to front, and it's Alice Hart-Davis, but she's going to come on now. So without any further ado, we're going to welcome Alice. Come on in, Alice.
Hey, Trinny.
See, this is a bit different from Instagram, isn't it? Because does it feel more professional? It's like we're on a talk show.
It feels extraordinary because we're on the same level, which makes so much difference. You know, with Instagram Live, when one person's covered with questions all the time.
And also, it's the guest, which I cannot bear, who is covered in questions. So many people, and we've both done many Instagram Lives, always say that thing. So Alice, I'm so happy you're on, because I think there's many women here. And I think that, you know, yesterday I was talking about menopause and cancer, and today it's Tweakmans. And, you know, every woman has interest levels that are different from her best friend. And I don't think that we should judge people for anything. So I'm really excited. I've also been through, as you know, some of these treatments. I've done Botox, I've done threads, I've done CO2 laser, I've done laser treatment. So I believe in them strongly. And I don't know, you've done a lot of things, Alex.
A great many.
Also, I think today, if we could hone in, and then we can open it up for questions on everything, but I want to hone in on jowls only because I know my audience have always asked, oh, jowls, what can I do? So jowls, just to be clear on what we're saying about jowls, Alice, it's the fat deposits that have gone south and are sitting here. Sure. But do you want to medically, because you're really good. Alice is not a doctor, but Alice has spoken to more doctors than doctors have probably spoken to about, you know, of your peer group. So can you just describe first why we're getting how do jowls occur?
Well, it is exactly what you were saying a bit earlier. It's fat pads in the face, shrivel, but they also slide south. And excuse me with my S's, I've got aligners in, so I'm not quite enunciating as clearly as I would like, but I'm trying. And they tend to gather, you know, with gravity, they come down, they gather under the jaw. A doctor or surgeon, if you ask them what you're going to look like in 5 years' time, they say it's very simple, look down. And
they're so nice, aren't they? Look down.
It's that plain, because gravity is going on. Also, we've got bone loss in our faces. You know, we're losing our bone mass from the bony arch in the forehead, bony arch in the middle of the face.
This is something a lot of women maybe don't appreciate, because we think bone skeletons, it's there for life, but the skeleton we're born with is not the skeleton we die with.
It's shrinking, and the fat pads are shrinking as well. So it's like you shrinking, or somebody losing weight inside a dress that stays the same. So the dress is loose, the skin becomes loose, it sags. Those fat pads are traveling, gravity brings them down, and they hang under here. Not helpful. And so that, you know, it could be jowls, it could be a double chin, but it's a huge problem, particularly at the moment, because I think so many of us have spent an awful lot of time on Zoom when we didn't used to, looking, and the camera is often down in the bottom of the screen.
Well, I mean, we can just talk about instant facelift, because I've got to show you now that I have got my computer on a tower, okay, because my vanity will not let me. I'll do it for a second now, but I don't want to talk to you like that, okay?
Sure. Although your job is bad, you'd get away with it.
All right, but I just think that it's very interesting what you're saying, Alice, that maybe some women are more aware of it. So
they are now.
Yeah, they are now. So as we go on, so I'm going to do questions. Julie's saying, are there any exercise for jowls and saggy under chin? I do, and I have done AEIOU every day of my bloody 20 years. And it's like, if you imagine keeping your body a little bit toned, that's in a way what it's doing, because if I do it properly, I'll get that like fatigue from the muscle, you know. I'll feel that the next day, and I'll think, oh, and also my neck, I think, oh, I have to remind myself I've done it quite a lot, because I'll think, do I have a sore throat coming? Because I do them quite
that's a lot,
you know, and so I do know that but all that is doing is just kind of doing a gentle little tightening of the muscle underneath to give hold fractionally to something. But there are many bigger treatments. So Alice, do you want to start with, because when you said there, the difference between jowls and a double chin, because some people just look at that whole area and they might think, oh, I don't like the whole area, so they just go jowls. But it could be if they want to do something here or here, the difference between.
It's rather hard to define, because it very much depends on your personal way you're presenting. So that's where you need an expert practitioner to say, this would help, that will help, because I mean, a double chin is often jowls that have just sort of collected down there, or it could be your genetic makeup that means you're stacking fat there. It's rather hard to define one beyond another, but like you were saying, jowls are usually the stuff that's slipped and is collecting just under that jawline there. But you know, where a jowl ends and a double chin begins, I think you could argue that.
And that genetic element. I mean, I think there's outside factors, Alice, because there's a lady here saying, and I'd love your opinion on this, because I know what I feel strongly. Julia, is running, jogging after a certain age bad for face and jowls?
There have been studies that show it's not great in the past, but it's so good for you in so many ways, like enhancing
a real runner.
Blood circulation. I wouldn't stop jogging because of that. I really wouldn't. But I mean, what does happen is joggers, regular runners, often are quite lean, and so they have low body fat. So that means they'll be holding less fat in their faces as well. So all the signs of aging will show up probably more obviously than they would otherwise.
Very true.
You've got to have an SPF, because if you're out in the wind and the weather more than your contemporaries, you know, that UV light is going to stack up the damage, even if it's boring old UK daylight. You know, I know, Trinny, you are always very keen on wearing decent amounts of SPF. That's even more important if you're exercising outside. So running may make those factors that are going on with aging possibly more obvious, but I really think exercise is such a beneficial thing. I wouldn't stop.
And I think in terms of releasing endorphins and in terms of making yourself feel good about yourself, it far outweighs, oh my goodness, you know, I'd rather say to you, continue the jogging. And if those jowls really, you can't bear them, do a thread or do one of the treats we might be discussing now, but do not give up the jogging if it's really, you know, there for you.
Yeah. And I've even seen studies on, you know, how your knees don't suffer as much with jogging as we think. You know, I have 101 reasons why not to jog, but I keep seeing them busted in the press. But anyway, I know we're talking about jowls.
Yeah. So what is the kind of, if you off to see a you know, cosmetic doctor, what would be the sort of top 3 things that you would say can be done that you think work, and how long also do you think they work for?
I'll say those things to you, but first I will say I would go to the doctor and say, doctor, this is my issue. What would you suggest? Because you can go in with a very particular idea in mind, but you might not be an ideal candidate for that for various reasons that the doctor can describe. So it's as well to be flexible, and also not all doctors have all procedures available to them. So they obviously suggest the ones they've got. But I'd say you're looking at either melting the fat that's accumulated, if you've got fatty jowls rather than just saggy ones. Yeah. And you can do that, either you can freeze it, or you can melt it with laser, or you can have fat melting injections, various advantages and disadvantages to each of those, which we could discuss. Or if you've got more kind of just saggy jowls where it's loose skin, you know, like an old basset hound coming down here, you could try, they might suggest filler, which you might think would be the last thing you'd want. But in fact, if they inject on the point of the jaw, on the chin, and on the cheek, you get a kind of 3-vector lift, which puts back that volume where you're losing bone here and here and here.
So sort of maybe putting it back where it might have been before it fell, to an extent.
So that's why they might suggest filler.
Yeah,
it strengthens the jawline. It means that you get back even the illusion of a bit of a shadow under there, which makes it look like there isn't a jowl just, you know, blending straight into the neck. Yeah. Or you might be a suitable candidate for a skin tightening procedure, like ultrasound skin tightening. That works quite well on the lower face.
Let's talk about skin tightening now, because skin tightening, some people, they might think it was a facelift, but we are actually talking about a laser or
energy treatments. Exactly. Your ultrasound that tighten the skin a little bit and encourage it to remodel, which will give some more tightening. So it's not like a massive lift, but it's a tightening. So also there's a cutoff point where I get a number of people coming to talk to me about this who are maybe in their late 50s, early 60s, and they want neck stuff, jowl stuff. But sometimes looking at them, you think actually you could spend an awful lot on non-surgical procedures and they would only give you maybe a partial result. They get you some of the way there, but you might do better, although it's not what most people want, to go straight to a lovely surgeon who will do a lower facelift, and then that's a really clear result. Job done. That'll last 10 years. You know, when you're looking at the energy treatments, like that,
Alice, would you have a lower facelift?
I think I'm going to need to in quite short order, because if I relax my face, you see it's all drooping down here.
It is relative, Alice, as well, because a lot of people might look at you and just think you look gorgeous, and you've worked on bringing out your beauty and doing little tweakments, like you say in the book. So there's a part of me, because I come from a slightly different place, because I do believe in little tweakments, because I think I would never want to have a facelift or a lower facelift. I don't know why. I don't know why I've always felt that, but I have always felt that. So that's why I've sort of done the filler. And somebody said about threads. I've had threads put in twice over the last 5 years, and they just are literally a sort of thread that is put in, you know, at a corner and can sort of tighten here, and then they just it just sort of becomes a part of your skin underneath, and it creates scar tissue, which just gives the support to your can give a support to your jawline. And I do actually like them, but I think there are people who do threads well, and there's people who do threads badly, and there's people who have threads done and they break. There was a famous case of Madonna having it done, and I think a thread was poked out in a picture or something a long time ago. And I do think one of the key things here as well, Alice, is finding somebody that you feel can really do the job. You know, so I just want to, because there's a lot of you see, there's Andrea saying Alice does look gorgeous. I wouldn't complain if I had her jowls, you see.
No, okay, I shouldn't complain.
Alice, it is all what you think, okay? I think we have to remember it's what we think, not what somebody else thinks.
Yeah. Okay, but I would stress I'm not planning to do a lower facelift anytime soon. I don't think there's a need for it. You know, I'm not completely blinded to the fact I'm lucky. I've got a great jawline. I've had a lot of procedures that help with all of this. I am trying something really interesting this afternoon, which is a kind of laser that slips inside the skin. It's on a very fine filament, like a wire that's as fine as a human hair. And it goes inside the skin and it kind of tickles and lasers the skin from the inside. So I'm going to have that across this part of my face.
It's not a thread.
No, it's a laser treatment. The laser is inserted under the skin and worked around. You see it like a little glowing dot under the skin, and it lasers the skin from the inside. It can also be used for fat busting. So this is very new, but you know, I know the practitioner who's doing this. He is the one who has set the protocols for its use in the UK. He's done a lot of treatments with it. He gets amazing results. So I am very curious to give it a go.
I know you are a journalist and you do all your research, Alice, and you know, on what do you feel you have to know before you then take the leap of faith of doing a treatment? You know,
I need to know the practitioner, to know his or her work, to have seen enough examples of that work to think this is the kind of result I might like. I need to know the detail of the procedure, how it works, what the science is behind it, and whether that is something that is agreed and accepted, or whether it's a new theory that because a lot of these things, you know, they sound amazing to start with, but over the years they get disproven, and looking back you think, God, why did I ever think this was a good idea? But at the time, and you know, you learn by your mistakes in this area as well. And I'm very aware, particularly with some of the stuff I do, that if I don't watch it, one day I will overreach myself and I will end up with a face that looked like the wind changed, and then I'll have to wear a paper bag on my head for the rest of my days, and so be it. But so research and not just speaking to the person who's says this is a great treatment. You need to look at it a bit more in the round.
No, I'm just going to say, because there's lots of comments on here, Alice, as we're having our chat, and it's really interesting because there's a very interesting person called Galen who's saying, you know, women only try and look beautiful for men, blah blah blah. I'm just vomit crap.
No,
first of all, we do it for ourselves. I mean, I know as a woman, I do all this stuff for myself. I think that if you've just joined the chat, this is, I do many lives, and you can catch them all on here, and they stay on here, about treatments you can do at home. And I talk about all the tools you can do at home and things you can do at home. And if you feel that you don't want to have any research and look at things you could do outside of the home, there's a ton of that. So don't worry, that those are there, and you can look at them. You know, last week we were discussing the AEIOU I was talking about, which is that daily massage. I'm talking this Sunday about my 4 favorite tools on Instagram. So all information you can find on my channels. But today just is about what else you can do, because it's a conversation to be had. And people ask me a lot of what else they can do. And it was stimulated by saying, what can I do about my jowls? It's something people ask a lot. So if we look at, let's say, we're just going to say now 3 good treatments for jowls, Alice, concisely, what are they? So first one is fat busting. Tell us, fat busting means you're going to get rid of the pockets of fat which have come down your face and are sitting there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And you could tackle that in 3 different ways. Do you want me to talk about those?
Quick, like a few liners on each one, so we can really get it. Yeah.
Fat freezing, i.e. cool sculpting, it definitely works. You freeze little pockets of fat. It'll reduce it by about 27%, possibly more if you're lucky, every time. Then there's laser treatments. I met a new laser the other week, a very interesting thing called the Onda, which is not as painful, because usually laser involves a lot of heat getting the energy into the skin. One melts the fat quite successfully. That's very new. It's coming out next year. It's available more widely. Or injectables. An injectable substance called deoxycholate, a chemical is injected, which literally melts the fat. It's got to be done very carefully because it will sting, it will swell, you'll be like a bullfrog for weeks, and several rounds. But they all work. They're all very well proven strategies.
Yeah. No, continue. I'm just writing down some questions because I can't get to the questions and hold them.
Okay, that's fine. I was wondering, because I've got light anxiety. You've got much better lighting than me, and I was trying to tweak my light to be.
You look gorgeous here. You do. You do.
Okay,
you
thank
lovely.
you. Or, like I was saying, if you've just got loose, saggy skin, you can either tighten that with a treatment like an ultrasound treatment, like Alpharet. That is proven to lift and tighten the skin. And if you go to a really good practitioner, they can tell you whether you're a good case for that. You'll get a small lift, but it'll last like 18 months. If you're a good case for it. Or there's radio frequency. And the new radio frequency is an energy which uses heat to stimulate the collagen to produce new collagen, but it also heats up and kind of shrink wraps the collagen at the same time. So the latest way with radio frequency is to stick it into the skin with microneedling. So you get these devices. There's one called 8, and there's one called Secret RF, and they have devices that stamp about 60 or 80 needles into the face with each pulse. I'm sorry for people if this sounds really extreme. It's quite tolerable. I've had it done. And they deliver the radio frequency down the bottom of those needles. So you're getting the wound healing response from the microneedling, which is a very blunt thing. You know, it makes holes in your face. The face rushes to repair them. And then you're delivering the radio frequency energy to tighten that collagen right down the bottom of those needles rather than just on the surface of the skin. So you get a deeper tightening. And lots of the practitioners say that is really fab for the lower face. I reckon you need, I've had one session of it to try it. I was told I'd need 3 to get a proper result. So that again would last a good year, but it would cost about, it's about £1,000 a go for the treatments. So, you know, this is why I'm saying they're not cheap, and you need to really think and be advised well as to whether they're the right thing to do for the kind of result you're looking to get. Or this laser I'm trying this afternoon.
I hope you can feedback on us. I'm going to go through a few questions. There's some fantastic things going on here. There's some very consistent person who's making some mad shout outs. But I think that, like, you will lose your wrinkles if you lose weight. I mean, actually, you can get more. It's
no, you'll get more.
Total crap. People are on a budget who are saying, you know, I'm going to get to be able to afford to have a doctor. What can I do? I will go back to, again, saying the consistency. So in terms of prevention, for anything further, SPF 50. I mean, it's like your biggest tool you've got. You can be in control of to not let the sun damage come into your skin, because that is one of the biggest damages. Free radicals damage our skin too and accelerate the progress of our skin going down the path of life quicker. So, you know, retinols to have skin turnover going better, acids to take off dead skin cells. These are the 3 key things for me, and vitamin C for that evenness of skin tone. So it's like those are a given. I do believe that tools you buy do work. There's people saying, oh, the tools you buy, use at home don't work. I totally disagree. You know how much you love New Face, because you
New Face, I love New Face. Exactly. And there's another from Foreo I've got to try out. The bear. Have you seen that? It's a little. I had it somewhere here, but I can't lay hands. But and your Face Gym one. You know, they work. You need to keep going with it, and also they're really good for stimulating the circulation in the face, the lymphatic circulation and the blood circulation, and those will do your face so much good. But also massage. You know, Trinny, like you were saying, it's powerful stuff. And I did a session the other week. It's on my Instagram with Beata Alexandrovich. I don't know if you've ever met her, but she's the most.
I mean, I think
massage. And it.
Sorry, no, you continue to Alice. Yeah.
I was only going to say for lymph drainage. So if you've got a kind of puffy face but holding a lot of fluid, that kind of thing is immensely powerful. And, you know, she works you through a regime that you know, you start draining it down here, and then you start draining across the face, you drain here, and you drain around the eyes. And also it makes you feel phenomenal. It really made me stop and think, because, you know, I normally look at my skincare and face care in a way of kind of doing things to my face, you know, face, what do you need? Let me do something. Whereas this was much more nurturing, holistic self-care stuff, which is God knows what we
Nikki's
need
saying, can
now.
I get a treatment for a tenner? Nikki, I'm going to say to you, you can do the massage techniques. The one I'm discussing is one I've done repeatedly on thing of starting here, going down to the clavicle, releasing, and doing your whole face. And I think that if you consistently suffer from a puffy face, and that could be actually due to, you might have inflammation issue around sugar levels in your body, and that does increase puffiness. Ice cream increases puffiness, dairy increases puffiness, sleeping flat without the drainage of a pillow increases puffiness. But anyone who wakes up thinking puffiness, and puffiness also will make you feel your jowls are bigger, that massage can sculpt your face. I've also had 2 Japanese women show me a technique too, and I think Katie Bryn, I mean, I've had so many people, and you have too, but I think it's the best free thing that we can do. But then it's something, if you do it once a month, forget it. If you do a proper one for 10 minutes, you will see a difference. So there's many people who practice it. You can look up on YouTube and find the best people. There's many people who do it. And I want to go on a little bit to radio frequency tools like Newer, because I have that. So when Alice is talking about heating up your skin, Newer is a kind of at-home component of that, and I do that. I think my audience has seen my I do it literally every other day, Alice, with aloe vera gel, and this gets really hot. I mean, I've had it on 2 because I didn't realize I had it on the highest one, but it's really hot. So if I went I would nearly burn myself. So I'm surprised this is sold as an at-home treatment, because I think that people have to be very aware that if you suddenly slow down or whatever, you can it gets a bit hot.
They ought to. I thought that one did. Some of the new ones, like the Sensica and the Tripolar, they have a cutoff.
I mean, this does have a cutoff, and it would go beep.
But it feels too hot before you reach the cutoff, doesn't it?
I mean, you know me, I'm a sucker for something that I think is strong, and I'm managing to do it at home. And this is 260 or 90 pounds. Interesting question, because quite a few people are saying, what can you do when you're breastfeeding? But I do want to just, Alice, you and I both have had children, and I think that, you know, there's a moment when you're breastfeeding, when you've had the baby, you're kind of losing the weight, but you know you're wanting to give all the nurturing milk to your baby. So you're not worried about weight loss. You're just worried about looking after the baby. But you're tired from breastfeeding, and you look in the mirror and you think, oh my God, you know, another sleepless night. So I kind of feel that we enjoy that moment with you. I know it sounds awful to say this, Alice, but like, enjoy the moment with the baby. I wouldn't try any strong treatments when you're breastfeeding. I think doing things like Newer, you can do, because it's not going to have an effect on the baby. Obviously, don't do it when you're physically breastfeeding. I mean, things like that you can do, and you can do Face Gym Pro. But, you know, when you've had a baby, Alice, I would say you still might have a bit more weight in your face. You might suddenly lose a bit. You've got water retention going on. So don't do anything drastic.
I would say give yourself a break. I mean, I know that it's incredibly difficult these days, particularly with social media, and everybody seems to be bouncing back, because when we were having our babies, it was mainly celebs in the news who were always on the beach 6 weeks later looking amazing. But now, you know, if you see all these friends around you looking glowy, and goodness, I find it absolutely shattering. I've got 3 darling, much adored children, but when they were small, I do remember looking in the bathroom mirror at one point and thinking, these bags under my eyes have grown little bags of their own, and this is happening on a weekly basis, and you just think, oh dear. But then you've got to put it in context, because you know, I know many people watching will think I'm completely overly obsessive about my face, but you know, I do in the rest of life try and think I know where the priorities
are.
Of
all the people I've ever spoken to, Alice, you are the most grown-up, balanced woman I've met, who really, you see yourself as a physical research tool for your you know, your joy and investigative journalism, see what works, what doesn't work, and debunking myths. And I think that's what I love about you so much, I have to say, because you really do that well. And you're at the same time juggling wife, mother, house maiden to the family, you know, journalist, author. There's a lot going on here, and I homage that. I've got the lovely lady coming back, or one of them saying, I'm 2 years into breastfeeding. I breastfed for a year. And that was only, you know, the last 6 months, first thing in the morning and last thing at night, because I was working, and it was a chance I had to bond with Lila. But, you know, you're breastfeeding for 2 years, you really love it. So I'm going down a rabbit hole here to talk just about breastfeeding for the majority of people who I think are past breastfeeding. But I love that I've got a breastfeeding woman on today. A few people talking about retinol, Alice, and because you also, you know, you love skincare products as much as I. And I've done a Fab 4 retinol, so you can catch that on, I did that a few weeks ago on Facebook, but I'd love to know your Fab 4 retinol. Yeah.
Fab 4 retinol. Wow. I like a lot of the Medicate ones. Are they?
Yeah, they are.
Fab
I mean,
4?
I go from Indeed Labs on a budget to the Retin 08 Intense from Medicate, but you give a couple more that are kind of instant ones you love.
Okay. In the Medicate range, I love the 3TR as the starter one, because that's a time-release retinol. It's not too strong. It will do the business, and you need to respect it for its potential strength. Also, their crystal retinol, which is really strong, and it's quite a bargain. I've got those on my website. And then Skin Better Science. I don't know if you know them. This is a real blow the budget one. They've got something called Alpharet, which is a fusion of an alpha hydroxy acid, so good for the resurfacing, plus a retinoid, not retinol, but something stronger. Those two ingredients that don't normally go very well together. It would be advised not to use them together, but they blend it. So that's a knockout product, but it's quite easily tolerated on the skin. And you really, really see results with that. Another retinoid. Well, you know, I love the SkinCeuticals ones. Or you know, that Boots one isn't bad. The number 7.
Retistar, I think, isn't it? There's different.
It's 0.3 retinol, 0.3,
but it's a converted retinol.
No, it's actually 0.3 retinol. In retinol, as I understood it from, I did a live with their scientific. But
you're not going to peel with it. Yeah.
No, it's
really kind of converted enough. I think I don't think it's one retinol on its own, because I think they've used stuff so that you don't have that resurfacing moment of flakiness.
Yeah. There's a complex of ingredients around it, soothing things like bisabolol, but the actual retinol is a perfectly credible 0.3 dose, which is kind of the one that can be used by the widest group of people without giving problems, and yet is strong enough to give results. So, you know, use it.
I think also that's the other thing, that a lot of people in an old-fashioned way, because I started Retin A 35 years ago when I had acne, and I was given it the cream.
Yeah, sure.
And you know, there was huge peeling. That was a purest form. It was a 0.5 or 1%. I mean, it was just like I peeled like a, you know, snake. And I think that, you know, like any of these products, people hear one thing and they don't maybe hear the right information, and they think, I won't go into that category. So I think when we're going back to general skincare, you know, like with vitamin C2, somebody said, oh, it was abrasive, so I won't go back to that. It's like they'll dump the category because of one product. So I think it's really important doing research but, you know, to get the right ones. But the ones you mentioned, Alice, are lovely for retinol. Just going back, we did Saggy Jowls, and for those of you who have just joined, we've been talking about all the alternative things you can do for Saggy Jowls, as well as massage techniques, tools you can use at home. But most importantly for this chat, Alice is a phenomenal expert on tweakments, everything, you know, up to the lower lift. Alice has experienced some way or another, and just how they work on the skin. Now, Alice, I just want to ask you, for those people who are not wanting maybe to comment, but thinking, I really would like to get something done. I don't know where to start. In England, we have a lockdown for a month, so you're not going to get an appointment anywhere. Although there's some essential medical personnel, there's some cosmetic doctors who are saying, oh, I'm in that category, so I'm open. So I would have to say, it's not being made clear by the government in the UK right now whether cosmetic doctors are allowed to stay open. Some are sort of saying, yes, we will. And some are saying, I'm going to wait. for the guidelines. So I think we don't know yet on that. But if you're sitting there, you're not wanting to say anything, but you want to know where to go. I think that's the hardest thing, is how, if I think this is what I want, or I want to go to somebody who can really properly tell me this is what you need, and then how do they go about it? And what do you think are the steps that they can take? And where can they find good practitioners, Alice?
Well, the first thing I'd say is go and look on my website, because I've got a practitioner register there. These are not all the best guys in the UK,
but they
spread
around the UK, Alice. Great.
They're all around the UK. There's a post finder, and or you could look at the website of something like the bcam.ac.uk, which is the British College of Aesthetic Medicine. That's the sort of elite doctors organisation. Or you could look for somebody who's qualified with BACN, which is the British Association of Cosmetic Nurses. There's a number of organisations like this who rank their practitioners, or who collect good practitioners and accredit them in some way. And you can, there's a whole list on my website of all these organisations as well. So you can also find out a lot about treatments there and have a think about whether they might suit you, because that's a difficult thing. You think, oh, my friend had this, maybe I'll have this. But if your face is different, quality is different. So I would just look around. We're all a bit savvier about using the internet now. So when you Google these things and you come up with lots of different answers, you can get a lot of very variable information. But I think a lot of us are a bit wiser about looking at the kind of quality of the information we're getting.
News. I mean, I do think that you can. So let's say one looks at a few of the docs you recommend. You can then look them up online and then look at reviews of things they've done. I think some cosmetic dermatologist doctors, however we call them, are better at some things than others. Some are known, like the man I see in London, Dr. Seabag, is really known for Botox. He also does threading, and his office do laser as well. There's Dr. Riki, whatever, by Harrods, who's a famous one too. I can't remember her name, Alice. I'm going to be, what's her name? Dr.
There are so many who are so fab, but like you say, and a lot of them are on Instagram now, and you can see their kind of before and afters, and you'll also see if their patients look like the sort of person who you are, because a lot of them have got very young, glamorous patients, or older socialite patients, or tired mum patients. They're all different. They're all very different people. And what they are getting better at doing is talking online, which shows you the kind of person they are, the kind of practice they run. And even if they are shutting for lockdown, which I think a lot of them are, but like you say, there's been no official guidance. They could all credibly claim to be following a medical model and therefore staying open. But they are all doing consultations on Zoom, which they have been doing since March. So and they can get a pretty good look at your face on FaceTime or whatever, and say, these are the things you could be considering. And then you've got a nice long cooling off time, because what you need to do once you've found out the information and you've talked to one or maybe two practitioners about it, is to spend a good deal of time reflecting. What might this do? Is it going to be worth it? How much are you going to have to repeat it? Or also the trouble is with faces, it's not usually a one single quick fix thing. It's a multifactorial process. Aging, like I was saying, you're losing bone, you're losing fat, the skin quality, skin sagging, and sort of all those things need to be addressed if you're going to get a really decent result. But to what extent do you want, or are you able financially to commit to that? So
exactly. A few comments, lovely Vera, somebody replying to Vera Dunn, saying, I'm not talking about forcing women, but the pressure on women in our society, often by other women. I too am caught up in this, but that's why I like Trinny's makeup. But there's a lot of comments about women shouldn't be forced to do this. And I think that we all make our own choices, and it's, whichever path we go down to, is it because the pressure of the people today, in the 40s, you had iconic Hollywood stars who were airbrushed to the hilt in black and white posters, oozing glamour. There's always been those kind of glamour icons for women. There's always been a beauty industry that's given us a ton of misinformation and good information. And there's always been your girlfriends who you compare yourself to, or not. you know, so I kind of think in life as women, you know, we have that. But the ultimate thing is that if you feel that you kind of, this is the thing that I think one has to think about. If you're on a really limited budget and you feel really tired and you just think, I look at myself and I feel I'm exhausted, and that makes me feel tired and low in energy, then think, what can you do? And you can start at the most microcosmic level. You can go and get yourself an acid toner to kind of take off dead skin cells. And you can start to give your skin a massage with a 5-pound oil. You know, it's just self-nurture. That is self-nurture to me, Alice. Yeah. That is looking after yourself and feeling good, catching excited for yourself and feeling, however you judge your value of what you associate with looks, it's just you feel energy in your face. However you look like, that's what it is. And it's women's interpretation is individual of what it takes for them to feel their face at its most energized. So for me, I'm in the public eye a lot, Alice. And I also, you know, get up and I have to do filming a lot at the drop of a button. I want to look my best. So I will, you know, I'm doing a Zoom and I'll be doing this, you know, off camera on my Zoom call in the morning.
I love you for that.
To kind of tone my face. I do it. I massage my face endlessly. You've seen me so times. I've had Botox. I've done a thread. I've done laser. You know, I do what I feel I would like to do with the budget I have to make the most of things. So that is every single woman's choice. And Alice, if you've just joined, Alice Hart-Davis, renowned beauty journalist, incredible researcher, and has written she's written many articles, but her 2 latest books are, the very latest book is Start With Skincare, which is a fantastic book just on, you know, basic, how should you build up a skincare routine? And her book that I love, and I talk about this more because it doesn't not conflict. We don't conflict at all, because I think all the things we say are identical, Alice. But I think that what you know a lot more about than I know is the research you've done into everything you can do post skincare. And so I think that if you're thinking about, would I want to do something, you can look it up and you can literally, what I love about this is like dealing with crow's feet wrinkles around the eyes, the treatments, you know, entry level treatments. What happens when you go for a consultation? Radio frequency skin resurfacing, what is it and how does it work? Skin peels, what are they and how do they work? You know, just bloody Encyclopedia Britannica there of everything you might want to do. And I love that. I love that it's in a book and also online. Alice has a site and it's Tweakment. Is it tweakmentsguide.com?
The tweakmentsguide.com. And thank you, Trinny. But just back to your point about the basics, lifestyle factors are massively important. I've said it in one, if not both books, that you know, there've been huge studies done on, is it your genes, is it your lifestyle, and lifestyle wins out every time. And it's using decent skincare is one of those things, but you know, like using moisturizer, using sunscreen, those are really good basics. And acids, retinol, whatever you can add in, but getting enough sleep, eating decent food, getting some exercise, getting out in the fresh air and getting, you know, daylight so that you keep your body clock in the right order. These things are all phenomenally important. So, you know, you can really help yourself there.
I think everything that we've discussed are things that women can look at, and it could just be they want to wake up with joy in their hearts, and it's giving themselves positive affirmation. So this is the time of the show, Alice, where we make commitments. Okay. And we all make commitments and we write them down. So no, but you write them down so people comment. So, and it generally pertains to what we've been discussing. But today I just want to have everyone, they're all, you know, we're going into lockdown tomorrow in the UK. Melbourne just come out. New Zealand has just come out. America is going through a huge election. There's a lot going on in the world, Alice. So bringing it back to inside your home, what's your commitment that you want to give for yourself today, ladies, to improve your sort of physical well-being? So you know, Saturday's commitment for me, Alice, is our mental health. And today's, because we talk about skincare, is that. So, you know, I'm going to give you some suggestions. It could be those women are on a journey of 2 liters of water a day, which we did 4 weeks ago as a commitment. You don't all have to do my commitment because I've got to go back on the water one. But it could be you're going to make sure you clean your face properly every day. You're going to try a retinol. You're going to do a vitamin C. You know, you're going to research something that's been really bugging you. Write down your commitment. And whilst you write down, because I'm going to read some of them out, Alice, do you want to give me a commitment that you're going to do you know, for this week?
Sure.
What's your commitment that you're going to share with us?
Okay, and preferably face and sort of skincare.
Yeah, this is the kind of slight, you know, it's not inside our brain. It's what we might be doing, you know, but you can throw anything at me. Exercise included in this one, yeah.
I'm gonna do one that's a bit of both, because I have found my mood really sliding the past 6 weeks. You know, when not doing something fun and lively and adrenaline fueled like this, you know, particularly in the mornings, and I will stagger into the bathroom and think, another day. And so I was going to say maybe face massage, but I love your AEIOU. I'd forgotten that one.
So I think Alice, how I do it, because it's, I mean, for those of you who are just joining, who want to know about it, because I do it very differently from the original one my grandmother taught me, which was my grandmother taught me, and we can all do it together. Should we just all do it together anyway, ladies? Because we do this, and if you haven't done it today yet and you're still watching, do it. So the purpose here is not just to do AEIOU, because it's that, you know, when you do exercise, and you're so much in exercise time, that repetition that builds up the muscle tightness. Okay. So this is kind of my own invention after my grandmother's initial, but we're going to do A, and A is going to, you can even say which muscles it's dealing with, because you'll know the medical term. So the A is just that boy.
A.
And what does that hold up? Does that affect the towel?
Sternocleidomastoid. It's pulling your neck up.
Pulling this neck up. So we're going to do 10 of them really hard. And you're really going to put your finger here to feel it. So A. Come out and vibrate. A.
Hey. Hey. I'm in. Hey. 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 That's got to be 10.
All right.
Hey.
You feel that? Okay. You feel that? All right. Okay. E is slightly, you can tell it's the muscle. So E, and when I'm going the E, I'm going E, and I'm kind of feeling it, that last bit of the E, in my pelvic floor. Okay, so I'm going E, and I'm slightly clenching my badge. That's what I'm doing, actually. E. Like, you know when you want to push out a poo, that's what you've got to feel at the end of the E. Okay, so try that one. It's a hard, tight E.
The
E.
E.
E. Phone high.
E. How is it? E. 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 E.
Get the poo out. E.
E. God, this is hard work. That's the risorius muscle that pulls out sideways, and yeah, it's one that we don't tend to use, so we often just pull
so up. That's going to give us the wide smile.
So if you're doing a non-smiling smile, a kind of Mona Lisa smile, it's a bit of a that's
great, and that stops the mouth turning down. That to me, because that muscle does that, and when we go down the path of life, we can do this. That marionette. So it slightly does this, which I like. Okay, now I, is really from the back. I!
What's this thing?
It's like, you're not wrong. You're not right. I am. Okay, so I do that 10 times. I! 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 I!
That's throat.
Isn't that good for the throat? Okay. And this is free, ladies, but this really, to me, it's like, let's do it. Okay. Now, O is like you're drawing it starting from here, and it's the whole vibration of the O is coming to the front. So it's O. Okay. Oh.
Okay.
Oh. 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 One more. Oh. Okay.
Wow.
We're nearly there. I mean, this is taking you 4 or 5 minutes a day, but do it, ladies. You can laugh your fucking head off. But if you do it, I mean, I do this sometimes sitting on the loo waiting for my poo to come out. You know, that's seriously what I do. Okay. And then we're going to do the last one, which is you. Okay. And you is dealing with you. So it's jaw tightening under here. You're going to feel it. So the jowl, for the jowl ladies, you. And you'll feel here. What's that called, Alice? You. That.
Yeah. Don't know. Masseter. This is the chewing muscle, but you don't want to work on that too much because it gives us too much of a square jaw.
But you might be putting a filler in, so why not? Okay, but anyway, it just tightens the jaw. So you, like pushing out your jaw. You.
Okay, I feel it. You. Okay. Really interesting. That's really interesting. I don't know that feeling at all. I need to see what the face yoga people think of this. But this is fab, Trinny. What a great
The thing is, I just, this is my own little invention, but I do find the next day, what you'll find tomorrow, Alice, is you'll have that same feeling you got from fatigue when you've been to the gym. So my commitment is that I'm going to make sure every single day, okay, I am going to be doing it. Okay, just so we know that. Can you? I don't know, Nisha, if you're there, but could you just save my comment? Could you put a comment out for me? I don't know if she can for me, but because I want to leave a comment and I can't. But I just want to say that's mine. Yes, you can. That's great. So my comment is that I'm going to do AEIOU every day. Oh my God, I got to have a puff on my asthma gun after that, somebody says. But, it's like we always have to end, Alice, on something that's free. Yeah. Because we've got to level the playing field here. I never want anyone to feel they're watching and they feel I'm excluded from this conversation. And that's
well, good on you, because it's very easy with treatments to feel alien, exclusive world, and there is so much more that we can do for ourselves so immediately, and I absolutely applaud you for bringing that out every time.
Alice, I can't thank you enough for being on the show, and if you would like to get Alice's books, you can buy them in which bookstore are they on?
They're on my website, thetweakmentsguide.com,
and there's the tweet
or Amazon around the world.
Fantastic.
So Australia, wherever it is there. And a lot of people say they can only see the Kindle, but you just have to click on the Kindle version. It will reveal you can also get the paperback.
Because it's the kind of book that's really nice to have physically, but also to have on the Kindle. It's a kind of double whammy, because there's certain books which I want on both, so I can pick up and read, but I can also have by my loo.
It's not really a narrative read. I think you kind of want to flick for the bit that you want.
It's not a narrative read, which I love so much easier. So I'm going to say goodbye to you and have a last chat with my gorgeous audience here. But Alice, thank you so much for coming on. And what I'd like to suggest, because I think that the audience adore you, and I think you need to show your love for Alice now, and I know you will. But I'd be really interested. We could have a chat next time on saggy eyelids, because I think it's come up here a lot, and we've got some free things you can do as well. So if you would like that to be the next topic of conversation with Alice, and we can do another live chat in a few weeks, because I think you always know I'm a big fan, Alice, and I just think you and I.
Well, thank you, darling Trinny, and I am here. As you know, I'm not going to be going anywhere.
Well, neither am I, darling. And you buy the books, Alice's books, on her website, which is thetweakmentsguide.com, and also on Amazon. And Alice Hart-Davis, The Tweakments Guide, Fresher Face, and Start with Skincare are her two books.
Thank
Not
you
at all,
so
my
much.
darling. Bye-bye, Alice. Okay.
Bye.
Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I think this is fabulous. I'm deciding on to keep behind my back. Can I go to Alice? phone in the newspaper tonight too. I was quite, I was taking some of those times. I'm not sure if I can do this time. And in the last 2 or 3 years, we've got to know each other better. And I find her a joy because she's not somebody with any ego, she's just full information. And I just love her Alice so much. Thank you so much for sharing our appreciation for Alice. If anyone else finding the audio wonky, somebody wonky, I sound like I'm underwater, it could be that something happened. So you can't hear me properly. All right. Okay, I've gone wonky. Okay, I'm now going to say goodbye, because the sound is inaudible. I think something's happened to the sound. So I will catch up with you later. And I think because we took on off air Alice, something's happened with the sound. But anyway, bye everybody. See you next Wednesday at 9:15. Oh, I'm back. Better now. Okay. All right. So that's great. So I'm just going to say, because you didn't hear me, that I will see you next Wednesday at 9:15. And do write down also subjects you would like me to cover, because I can think of things, 1,000 things, but there might be things like I think heavy excuse me, heavy lids we can do in a few weeks with Alice. So maybe we're going to have a guest, I think, every other week. How do you like having a guest? I loved having a guest today. It's new for us. I did you a guest yesterday and today, but I think it's really interesting and we're all learning. And I think for half of my audience, probably at least, we're sitting at home a bit more. So it's a challenge to chance to learn more. All the serious broke the sound down. Oh, so true. Okay, have a great day. Nisha, you can take me off air now, because otherwise I'll babble. So I hope you're there and you can